Greetings and welcome to Armored Core Requiem, the series where I take on player-submitted builds and optimize them to the best of my abilities. The process will consist of me taking a player's build either from the video's comments or the Requiem workshop in the Xbox Fight Club Discord server, then upgrading it live on stream. After that, I will make the video going over the original build and the upgraded version, then closing it all off with a final PvP test in where a volunteer will pilot the original build and I will pilot Requiem. All is said, enjoy. Greetings and welcome back to Requiem. We have two builds to take a look at. Both were upgraded last Monday. I stream every Monday upgrading the Requiem builds as well as the Reforged. So if you want to stay tuned and interact with me in the chat and help the upgrades along their process, feel free to keep me in mind for Mondays. As well as before we get into the builds, I do want to announce that I've started a Patreon page where you can go and follow for free to have direct communication with me, talk in the chats, all the cool stuff. And there's a $5 a month paid subscription in where you'll have your name in a credit section of all future videos, indubitably. I'll be sure to add more benefits in the future, but yeah, link in the description indeed. But with that out of the way, on to the builds. Alrighty, for our first build, we have a close range, constant high stagger, melee punishing AC. For our first weapon, we have the Ludlow handgun, a very solid weapon for close range high stagger buildup, or constant stagger buildup versus burst. Its recoil is low, only being 4, but its rapid fire does ramp that up, so arms like the Bastion won't be able to handle it, so you'll need arms with decent recoil to handle these weapons indubitably, or at least 2 of them anyway. And then next we have the Burst Machine Gun Estrogen, pretty much the better version of the Ludlow in the current meta right now. Because of it being burst with similar recoil, it actually has kind of lower recoil because of its burst nature versus fully auto, meaning the recoil does not ramp up, meaning that you can run arms like the Basho, which have remarkably low firearm spec as well as recoil control, and you can still handle the weapon indubitably. For shoulder weapons, we have the Gatling Cannon, the Xiaowei. This is a fantastic shoulder mount for the constant close range high stagger buildup. Downsides to this weapon is it does ramp up your recoil the more you fire it, as well as it doesn't fire while you're moving around. You need to constantly hold down the activation button. Outside of that, pretty solid for that close range high stagger buildup indeed. And then lastly for melee, we have the Laser Slicer, a very solid melee weapon. Not my preferred melee weapon for this type of build, but overall pretty damn solid. Its normal multi-tap attack is very high damaging, especially if you land the whole thing on direct hit. Very, very mighty damage there. Its charge attack is also very solid, giving off a mini stun similar to the charge of the Pulse Blade, as well as the charge of the Laser Blade. So pretty damn good for getting in that quick stagger to knock an enemy out of whatever they're doing. Build up lots of stagger with one punish, all that good stuff. Only downside to both attacks is they have quite the wind up. And for frame parts, nothing specific that gives our build a defining edge. Although with its current assortment, we have 10k AP exactly. Interesting. 1100 defenses, not so bad. 1700 stability, also not bad for a build like this. And 350 main boost speed with a quick boost of, quick boost speed of 378, which is very, very solid. Very elusive, this build, indubitably. For inner parts, for boosters, we have the Alula, the best booster, in my opinion, for medium to lightweight close range builds because of its normal natural thrust, allowing our speed to be very high, quick boost thrust, allowing for a quick boost to be high, and its assault boost being absolutely goated on the sauce, allowing us to catch many elusive prey. For FCS, we have the Abbot, or the Abbot, as some say, which is the little brother to the Ocellus when it comes to close range assist. I suppose with the Melander arms, we don't need max close range, but considering it's the only range we're going to be effective with most of our weapons anyway, we might as well just go with the full thing. And for generator, we have the VP20C, a very fine natural regeneration generator, quite light, very good on kite-like builds. Close range, highly aggressive builds, not the greatest, as its capacity will not give you many dodges, maybe 4 to 5 if you're lucky. The current EN load we have on our build overall is very nice. We're going to get lots of nice regeneration. Even if your EN is pretty close to shortfall, the VP20C, I don't know if it's bugged or it's just that naturally goated. Its recharge stat is pretty high, so it makes sense that its recharge is naturally just really fast regardless. But yeah, a solid generator overall, but for this type of build where you need lots of capacity to dance around your opponent, especially if they are also close range and thicker than you and much more high DPS, you're definitely going to want the capacity to match. And lastly, Assault Armor for those mighty trades. Alright, and for playstyle, get in your effective range, use all 3 high stagger weapons in said range to proc stagger, and then go in for the melee punish, indubitably. Alright, and that is the original build. Let's take it into the Forge.
これがレクイエムだ。
Here we are, Requiem. For the primary weapons, just ended up doubling up on the burst machine guns, as I find these to be the best for close range, high constant stagger buildup. Not burst similar to the Viento or Zimmerman's, but constant in where you need to, sit there and fire a little more than dodging around and firing. I find these to be the best for that, indubitably. Their low recoil allows you to run things like the Basho arms without needing to worry about the recoil, and yeah, absolutely goated on the sauce. Next, for shoulder mounts, decided to switch to the Huxley over the minigun, as you can dodge around and this will keep on firing. It does a lot more stagger when it's up. It does have much more of a cooldown, but again, it's going to do a lot more when it's up, when you're actually in range. You only need to click the bumper once, so you don't need to keep holding it down. You do need to worry about when you get kicked to reset it, but that is a small price to pay for the salvation. And then lastly, I just ended up switching the slicer over to the pulse blade, as I find the pulse blade to be much more convenient and more reliable anyways. Charge attack comes out a lot faster, you get a nice boost with the attack thrust. I believe you do for both attacks, but anyway, it comes out a lot faster, doesn't do as much damage, but then again, with the slicer, the first initial hit of the charge attack doesn't actually do the mini stun, so you might not get the full damage anyway. You might get interrupted via kick, or them just shooting you, all the good stuff. But with the Pulse Blade, no, the first hit of the charge attack, it stuns them, and you can pair that with Zimmerman, charged Harris, lots of cool synergy with it indeed, as well as the normal attack itself is just very reliable indeed. Very good for melee cancelling, very goated overall. And for frame parts, Viral Head, Mind Alpha Core, Basho Arms, and Mind Alpha Legs. You'll see this exact frame on quite a few of my Requiem builds, as I found these are fucking great parts for more medium weight builds, or if you're trying to go more of a medium to lighter weight, or at least a very fast medium weight. With our current assortment, we have 11,500 AP, fucking great, 1,200 defenses, also astonishingly fantastic, and 1,800 stability, also incredibly good. Nearly 350 boost speed, which is great, with a quick boost of 370. So we're pretty much the same speed as we were before, but now we have a lot more durability. For inner parts for boosters, keeping the Alula, switching the FCS to Ocellus, and the Santai generator. You can either run the Santai generator for more natural regeneration if you like to watch your stamina, or if you're like me and just want to go Oga Boga mode and just use the generator coral and don't worry about redlining. In fact, redlining is the way to go. Regenerate in the sky, all the cool stuff. You can go with coral indeed, as well as the coral does boost our expansions for whatever you choose, and I do like that indubitably. And lastly, for expansion, Pulse Armor, as it is much more reliable than Assault Armor. For example, if you're getting kited by an enemy, Assault Armor is going to do nothing for you when you get staggered, versus the Pulse Armor indeed. And for playstyle, exactly the same. Get in your desired range, pop out your Huxley, and then just fucking use all 3 stagger weapons to build up the high stagger, and then move them for the melee. Alrighty, and that is Requiem. Very simple indeed. Let's take a look at the next build, and then we'll do the PvP test. Alrighty, for our last build, we have a close range, highly aggressive double melee build. For our primary weapons, we have the Zimmerman shotgun, the king of shotguns. Very, very solid for that quick burst damage, as in you fire it once, move around a lot, fire it again, all the cool stuff. Can work with great synergy of other weapons when it comes to its reload pattern, and like I said, yeah, very goated for that quick burst damage and stagger. And then next we have the Coral Oscillator, a fucking goated melee weapon. Its normal attack is incredibly good for melee cancelling, as it has a very long type of window in where you can dodge to cancel it. Even when you're swinging it about over your head, you can still cancel it into, of course, another melee. So yeah, super good for melee cancelling. Its charge attack is very interesting. Not the best of them all, of the melees anyway, but it is very, very oppressive. If it does land, it's almost an instant stagger. It can go through a lot of objects in the game, so it's very good for baiting your opponent, all the good stuff, but a risky trade if they decide to dodge it and/or are ready for it. Outside of that, it is coral damage, so it does ignore all defenses, just doing that straight damage, which is always nice. For shoulder mounts, we have the Bullet Orbit Huxley. Just took a look at that, won't go into too much on it, as well as the Pulse Blade, which actually makes a very nice combo and is a super good weapon for highly aggressive melee type build. These two melees are goated. We already talked about the Pulse Blade and its charge attack and normal attack, and that again pairs greatly with this type of synergy. For frame parts, Shade Eye, Alba Core, Basho Arms, Alba Legs. With this current assortment, we have 9,900 AP, which is not so bad for a lighter build for sure. For a melee build like this, where you're going to have to be trading with your opponent a lot because you have to go in for the melee, not super great. as well as our defenses, only 1000, also very bad. 1600 stability, survivable, but not great. Again, for a double melee, you're going to be trading with your opponent a lot, unless of course you stun them first, but only having 2 weapons for that stun isn't really going to cut it. Usually with a stun build, like we just took a look at before, you want at least 3 of your weapons to do the stun, and then your melee to do your damage. Thing is, we have 2 melees for damage, which yeah, sure can do stun, but still you're going to have to go in for the trade, which means you're going to lose AP and stability. So having high of both means a lot. And then lastly, for our main boost speed, we have 370 with a quick boost of 390, which is incredibly fast, indubitably. For in our parts, we have the booster Alula, also very good for this type of build. FCS Ocellus, again, super goated for close range, because it is the close range FCS, but also with the Bastio arms having like no firearm spec, we need an FCS that has max in its range, so this indeed works indubitably. And for generator, we have Coral, which again has lots of capacity, super good for a build like this. Although the Coral Generator doesn't have the best synergy with melee builds, especially double melee, as every melee action resets the cooldown timer, that being like 3 to 4 seconds on Coral, which is kind of rough, but the capacity is indeed worth it, as you can melee cancel a fuck ton with it. And then lastly, for expansion, Pulse Armor. Alright, for the flow of this build, there's actually a lot you can do with this type of thing. You can either just get in close and use the normal Zimmerman shot, as well as your Huxley, or you can start the fight with the Assault into the Zimmerman kick, and then, of course, just kind of spam your melee, especially when stagger is really high, because that melee hit could very well stagger them. There's a lot of flexibility with a type of build like this. So get your energy back. You can melee cancel to make the distance. You can melee cancel once into the charged. Get a lot of staggered. Dodge, Zim. Oh, for a little faster, actually, we can get a stun off of that. Let's have the stagger reset, and I'll show you. Just melee in, cancel, charged, dodge, Zim. Before the cumulative impact goes down, we can very well get a stagger on lots of builds indubitably. But yeah, this has great synergy, lots of cool things you can do with the charge attacks, are they normal, all the good stuff. But yes, this is the original build, let's take her into the forge.
これがレクイエムだ。
And here we are, Requiem. For weapons, keeping the exact same loadout, as I find these are very goated for this exact build. Very, very good. You could trade out the Zimmerman for the Harist for more range, but I like the Zim and its constant, consistent stagger indubitably. For frame parts, we have the Viral Head, Mind Alpha Core, Bastio Arms, and Wrecker Legs, going with much more of a durable appearance, as we're going to need it for those mighty trades, and we'll handle the speed in a second once we get to the inner parts. With our current assortment, we have 12,000 AP, which is a very mighty, 1100 defenses, solid, 1900 stability, fucking amazing, and a boost speed of 286, which is incredibly slow, with a quick boost speed of only 320, which again is not very quick, but we'll get onto that in the inner parts. For inner parts, for boosters, we have the Kinkaku booster, which its main specialty is its melee attack thrust. With this melee attack thrust, our speeds will be upwards of 600, possibly even 700 plus, depending on your weight, which is incredibly good. It more or less guarantees that we'll land our melees. Even the charge attacks will get some boosts, except for obviously the Coral, that doesn't even move us at all, but the charge attack of the Pulse Blade will land more times than it will miss, as long as, of course, you feint out your opponent. If your opponent's more of a 370 light build, you might have a problem catching up to them. Well, not you'll catch up to them, but they might be able to dodge just enough to get away from your melee. So you might have to feint them more than they have. But chances are they're going so light, they're probably going to have a lighter generator with less capacity than us, which means we'll have enough to outfeint them and catch them regardless. Which for a double melee build is huge. For FCS, we're keeping the Ocellus, as well as the Coral Generator, as well as expansion Pulse Armor. Alright, for playstyle, very much the same. Pop out the Huxley, you can either self-boost in to get that huge impact damage, as well as now that we're a lot heavier, our kicks are going to do much more damage, not direct hit or otherwise. Yeah, but now our melee is incredibly fast. If we look to the left side of the screen, see our speed gauge. We have 700 plus speed. That is nuts. That more or less guarantees our melees are going to land indeed. There's pretty much no getting away from them indeed. As long as we keep our energy up before we go in, we can feint the fuck out of it. Indeed. Like I said, the only downside about a Coral Generator and melee is every melee action resets the timer. For example, we dodge, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 seconds, starts to recharge. We dodge, 1, 2, 3, melee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, resets the timer, which is not great for Coral, as it's quite the hefty timer. but it is indeed worth it, as it's pretty much the best gem we can still run. Santa would be really rough. You can technically run it on this, but the Ian shortfall will be so close that you might as well not even, as your recharge is going to be hella slow anyway. But yes, this is Requiem. Me and my buddy Shattered will now be doing the PvP test. He will be piloting the originals, and I will be piloting Requiem. Enjoy.
Yeah,
Well, that
bored
too many new
again.
things. Yeah, it gets a little repetitive, but I think we'll have some good ramp up in tournaments and events. Methinks. Last tournament we just did the Star Wars Melee. It was pretty cool, pretty fun.
Yeah, 'cause right now the reason I was tired of like the ranked stuff is like there's like kind of just 3 builds, and if you rolled bad, it got the one build was bad matchup, you just died.
Oh yeah, yeah. The rock paper
That just
scissors flow
sucks.
is not great.
It just really sucks to lose, not because of skill, but because you rolled bad.
Oh yeah, I hear that completely.
Ow.
No.
I thought I had pulse. Huh, okay.
Nah, I think it's pulses on the other.
I've waited a while. God, I cannot control my recoil. My recoil is ass. That hit me.
Yeah, I fainted it with all my energy. I would hope it hit.
That was like a mile away from me.
Dang it. I hear that.
Biggest over.
I'm addicted to melee canceling now after the tournament.
Yeah, Lady Slicer just kind of sucks. I really like it.
Yeah, it's neat, but I find that, yeah, the Pulse Blade just kind of does the same thing, but better.
Yeah.
But it's a
I
charge
don't like
attack,
stuff
stun,
that could be only
straight.
used to stagger punish. Like, that's their only purpose.
Yeah. Good God. Good God.
I try to go for it, okay? Yeah, appreciate that.
I do appreciate it indeed. That's
It's not
pretty deep.
hell yeah. What do you mean? You can't just say hell yeah.
That's dope. Hell yeah.
That's not enough.
Hey man, we don't sleep here. We take long blinks. And that's a fact. Back to life.
I think this one comes out. I can't outtrade you. I don't think.
Yeah, probably not with the thickness, but
Because we're gonna trade, and I'm not gonna be able to take them. That hit.
Hold on. Just
Owie.
barely. No! I refuse this reality. Oh. Energy, come back to me. Come
I
back to
have them
me.
like that.
Whoa.
Damn nice.
God, the beam of death. Hold up.
I still want to do it again.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, you took like
Just
nothing
about
from that.
won the trade,
Yeah, I lost.
and it's never Jover until it's Jover, and that's a fact.
If I have normal equipped, I'm trying to do a charge stack.
I hear that. Hold up.
No! No less! Okay, that's it.
Wow.
I'm out of energy. It's over. I don't like Corrosion for that.
I fucking love this Corrosion. Corrosion doesn't have a great synergy with melee. I think it can run Santa in this, maybe.
It's very punishing.
Alrighty, and that is it for this episode of Requiem. If you have a build you want me to take a look at, feel free to leave it in the comments below, as well as there will be links in the description to the Xbox Select Club Discord and Shattered's art projects, all that cool stuff, as well as links to my Patreon if you are interested in joining, chatting, and donating to the cause. Either way, no matter what you do, I appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.